Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget, and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.
Spectres all around me, living in stark, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me. Where those moonflowers used to rust no more. Spectres gather round here, living in stark, blazing the dark. Night by night, stare into the black where moonflowers used to grow.
Do you struggle with putting yourself first? Are you tired of feeling burnt out and overwhelmed from constantly putting the needs of others before your own? I have created a sacred space that will be available once a week for 10 weeks to learn, dive deep, and create your boundaries to boost your confidence and self-worthiness. Go to www.krista-luna.com and sign up for the Master Your Boundaries course starting in September 2023. And use the code PARANORMAL to get 30% off today on www.crista-luna.com.
Welcome to Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I know it's been a while since I've been here doing a regular interview, but I'm glad to be back for all my listeners. And I'm joined by a very special guest tonight, as always. We're going to try and make the world a little more normal, like always. Does it ever work? No, but we keep trying. 100 and something episodes in, we keep trying. But my guest tonight is William Patrick, psychic medium, tarot reader, intuitive empath, and so much more. That's just all I can fit in the heading. But we'll get on into all that in the next hour or so. But first things first, how you doing tonight, Will?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself, Jeremy?
I get to come back to this show with one of my regular episodes. I can't complain. I really just can't. It's always a nice thing. So, but first question I ask everybody on this show is, what brought you into the paranormal spiritual world? Like, what brought you down this path?
Yeah, it happened when my mom passed away. That's when I really got into it more. Like, a lot of stuff happened when I was younger, but it was like few and far between, like would happen, then go away. But when my mom passed in 2013, she gave me a sign to meditate. So the meditation became my foundation of really everything. And from there, after that sign from meditate from her, 6 months later, I was astral traveling. So that was like the big shift into this world. Into the real world, rather.
Well, exactly. Yeah, the real world. But, all right. Well, I mean, it's kind of a sad way to get there, but it happens more than not from what I've been told. So
yeah, I'm sure. And it all depends how you look at it, because there is no real death, as we're talking about paranormal and like the real world. There really is no death. It's just a transition to somewhere else, you know.
Exactly. I mean, well, depending on your belief systems, but yes, I mean, it's definitely, I believe it's a transcendent ride to some other dimension where it's basically a DMV waiting room waiting to come back down.
Right.
But all right. And the second question I ask everybody, and with mediums, this is usually a easy question to answer, but have you had any paranormal experiences, such as, of course, spirits and ghosts, or even
definitely. Definitely. You know what? Like, I communicate with spirits all the time, obviously, but one experience I had that will be interesting to your audience and yourself is, as far as that goes, I saw a shadow person came into my bedroom. I don't know if you ever heard of shadow people. That was before. That was before I was doing it. I was doing this. But I might have been doing a little bit actually. I take that back. It was after I started meditating and astral traveling. but it wasn't while I was like in business.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's thinking back. That was probably 2015 or something. Getting the dates right, but yeah, that was that was a really interesting experience.
Yeah. Did the shadow being just walk in and just stand there and stare, kind of, or did
Yep.
just yeah?
Came into my
Okay.
bedroom. Came right at the door of my bedroom, and I looked at the shadow person. I didn't know what it was at the time until I like looked it up and found that it was very common. It just looked at me, and I didn't feel scared at all. I was just looked back at it. And I was like, oh wow. I was like, that's interesting. And he started to went like this and went into my wall, and there was like checkered. There was white there too, and went right into my wall, like turned into like kind of like a spiral.
Okay. From other podcasts I listen to, I've heard a lot of shadow person stories. I have never heard of that, and that is incredible that you saw that, because I mean, it's been hypothesized many times that shadow people are interdimensional, and they're just pale images of another dimension that we can see somehow.
Right.
So that right there just make so much more logic to it, like so much more sense to it, that maybe it was going back to its own dimension. I mean, who knows why they come here? I mean, whether they feed off the fear they cause, or they feed off our happiness, like some people think. Who knows? I mean, it's just
right. It's amazing how common it is. It's like I had no idea. I was like, "What was that?" And I started looking it up on the internet, and it's so many people have seen it. From just kind of neutral experiences or good experiences to like not good experiences.
yeah, exactly. And what's going on, Anthony? Glad to see you watching, buddy. And have your shadow people ever gone through a portal in the wall by chance? Because we have 2 cases of it here, then we could easily prove something. But need to have at least a couple cases of that get cemented down in history. But I mean, so where do you think shadow people come from?
I think they're interdimensional. I think there was a theory that they put like a suit on that could be like someone from another dimension, or even from another space and time, maybe time traveling. That's possible as well.
Yeah, I've heard that theory too. And I mean, but why would they come up as shadows though? Like, why wouldn't they just look like humans if they're time traveling? Like, that's the part that mystifies me about that.
I would think probably to go undetected. Maybe that's only the first thing that came to my mind. Even though they don't seem like they don't go undetected because they sneak into people's bedrooms all the time. But
yeah, I mean, I've my house has that. People have seen them in my house before. I never have, but people have seen them in my house besides me. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. I always had this theory that it's part of the evolution of being a spirit stuck on Earth. That a shadow, I had a theory that a shadow person was like the middle evolution stage before full body apparition. So
yeah, I mean that's certainly possible. I mean it's kind of like the unknown. I never really tapped into it. I never really even asked Spirit. I kind of like put it in the back of my mind. But another thing that happened was like when I was really young. I saw like a being of light. I always thought it was Mother Mary because it was a woman. Being of light came to my door as well. So that was interesting. That was the first thing that happened to me when I was really young. Probably I 4, 5, 6, something like that. Probably 6. Yeah.
Interesting. And I mean, do you now think it was possibly an angel or something, or
yeah?
Along those lines?
I mean, it could have been an angel. Definitely a messenger. I put Mother Mary definition on it, but I'm not really 100% sure.
Interesting. I mean, that's something I never experienced, the actual being of light. That's something I always kind of wanted to experience, but it just never happened. So, and yes, Anthony, I've heard of shadow people in the woods, in the forest also. Like it happens there as well. I can't explain why they want to be there because I don't want to be in the woods or forest, but to each their own, even the creatures of the paranormal. But
right.
So, when did you start? When did you start being a psychic medium?
About 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, I started. What happened was I was seeing a psychic of my own, and I was telling him about my astral travel experience, where I went into different spirit worlds and met with like these three little guides who took me like basically a tour of the universe. And she's like, "Yeah, you have some sort of gift. Why don't you explore it?" So she gave me a meditation to do, like a 2-week meditation to do every night. Around the second week, I'm meditating, and I see my friend's dad like comes right into my space, and he's like, they call me Billy. They're like, He's like, Billy. So my friend's dad will pass. So I was like, oh my god. I was like, wow. And then later that day, or the next day, I'm driving. I'm from Rhode Island. I was driving to Massachusetts. He comes back in along with my uncle's mom who passed. My uncle from like through marriage. She came in. She's showing me rosary beads, and it was a little overwhelming. So it's like, everyone back up. So so they went away when I did that. But so then I told the psychic that was, we were trying to figure out what my gifts were. She's like, yeah, you have the gift. You're definitely an empath, obviously. And you have the gift of mediumship. She said, you should explore that, develop that. So then I started taking courses. And then I started practicing on my friends during the courses. And then I was like, wow, I can actually do this. So and I open up a business. So
Interesting. And I'm actually from Massachusetts. What you see behind me is Massachusetts. So
I did. Cool. All right.
yeah, I live up in I guess north central Massachusetts, be the best way to put it. But
North Central, like Springfield area.
More east than that, but yeah.
I was driving to Marlborough, Mass. That's where I was going.
I actually have a lot of family there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's actually where my family first moved up here. That's the town they lived in, and they still live in for like 30 years now.
But, no way. Nice.
Yeah, but whenever I have a medium on, psychic on, I like to ask this kind of 2-part question. It's always a good answer, I think. What was the one experience that had you the most frightened as a medium? Like, what was the experience that actually had you being like, oh my god?
Frightened?
Or surprised, frightened, shocked. I mean, pick your adjective if you're
honestly, my protection is really high, so anything like that won't come in. So I never had like any kind of like really negative experience. Basically, I clear the room and it's almost like a threat to anything that's negative. You better get out. You know what I mean? You better get out. I'll mess you up if you like come into my space. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Like, yeah. So and I have angels protecting me. I have Archangel Michael protecting me. Like, I really lock down the space, and I have like a team of guys that like will interview the spirit before it comes in. So I don't really have anything like shocking like that, but it just shocks me all the time. It still shocks me today, like when I'm doing a reading of the things that I know, the things I find out, the confirmations, like that's always like, wow. I was like, still to this day, I'm like, wow, how did I even though I'm doing it all the time, it's like, how did I know that? Especially during mediumship.
All right. And the second part of that question I always ask is, have you ever had like a reading or done a job for somebody as a medium that has brought you to like physical tears, like something that was just so heartbreaking or something that was just so tragic?
No, because I'm usually consoling the person sitting with me. That like most of my clients, I would say probably 90% of my clients, 95% maybe cry during the reading. So I'm usually consoling them. It's not that I really have it together because I feel like I need to hold space for that person. Like, I don't want to like stop breakdown cry. You know what I mean? Like I need the whole space
Yeah.
to be strong during that reading.
That makes sense. It makes sense. I respect that. All right. Well, gonna ask you one more question about being a medium, then I'll move on to a different topic. But
Sure.
what would you say was your most interesting client ever? I've had people in the past who have used their abilities to help like the cops find a missing child and stuff like that. Like what was your most interesting client?
Well, I mean, there's a few of them. I've done that before as well. I can't get into it too much, but I have done cases. It was more psychic, where I was doing like a case of something that happened to someone, and we were trying to figure out who it was. So I was invited down to that property and things like that. But I can't get into that too much. But
I mean, yeah, but you don't have to give details you can't give. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of something that really stood out. It's just a lot of confirmation. It's a lot of that's him. You know what I mean? Like that's him. That's definitely him. How did you know that? But it's usually just like I can see. The cool thing is I can see them, and that's amazing in itself. I think. I know it's kind of vague, but I don't have to be shocking for you.
Well, all right, that makes sense. I mean, I could see that. But let's move over now to your other profession, because I've had multiple of these people on too, and I find it interesting, the whole idea of tarot reading.
Mhm.
I mean, my co-host of my other show can do it. I've had a couple people on the show that can do it. I've seen it. I've had it done live on this show, and it fascinates me. Like, what got you into tarot? Because I mean, usually tarot readers and psychics are like two separate things. They usually don't combine too often.
Well, usually tarot readers and mediums are usually separate. What happened was the same people that trained me in mediumship also had a tarot course. So I'm like, I'll take that too. I was like, I'll just take that. And I was like, oh, it's going to take me a while. I was already kind of studying the tarot before that, like maybe 6 months before. So when I took the course, like it just came really natural to me to use tarot. And just remember, like tarot is just a tool. It's just a tool for psychics. So that's all it really is as far as those cards. It's a tool to help the psychic or the intuitive read the person.
All right.
That's all it really is. So I just think of it like that. Like just think of it as a tool to for help. A lot of psychics don't. Some psychics use them, some don't. But it's basically just a tool. And the thing is, like, a lot of people like, especially if you're new clients, like tarot readings. But I find it does help, and I enjoy reading the cards.
It's visual. That's why I would think new people like it. It's something they could see being done.
Right.
Versus just hearing somebody tell them something like that first. Like you gotta build that trust before you can just sit there and listen to somebody tell you things and actually believe every word they say about it.
Yeah, I feel like it can be more of an experience maybe for the client. It helps me. I mean, if sometimes, like, if I'm not using tarot, what I do is I like basically go into a trance, and that's the way I would do my do a reading, and basically in a trance, getting information from spirit guides. But even when I'm using the tarot cards, I'm still communicating with my guides. So I'm like, if I look up that way, don't think I'm crazy. Like I'm legitimately talking to my guides up there, and they're giving me the information. So it's just a different way to do a reading, basically, and it's fun. Right. I like the cards,
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's had them done multiple times in this show, it is a very fun thing to be a part of. Like you feel like you're playing if you're the one getting it done, you feel like you're like playing a game of cards almost in a way. Like it's just about it's a luck. It's the luck of the draw, which some people argue that's always fate. No matter what card game you're playing, it's always going to be fate drawing you that card. But I don't know, luck or fate. Either way, it's still a pretty interesting thing, and I respect it. I really do. Younger me did not respect it, but me now, yeah, I 100% respect it. I've seen it. I've seen enough stuff, and I've been told enough stuff with them where it's just like, okay, there's something to this. There's something.
Yeah. So, and it also depends on like where the card falls. So each card has meaning to it. All right.
Of course, yeah.
So, it's gonna be. It's not always the exact same meaning as the card, but it's going to be something around there. But sometimes it depends on where the card falls, the cards that it falls next to tell that story, and what I see. Like I might see something in the card, like I don't always see, and then it just like pops in, And then what I do is I communicate with my guides. Is that correct? If they usually say yes, you know what I mean? But sometimes they'll say no. It's all right. Like, or if they reshuffle, or I ask them like, what is it? You know what I mean? And then they'll tell me, but it's something around that same meaning of the card. So basically when you shuffle, like the way I feel about it, they'll tell me they'll say stop shuffling, or cards will just fall out, or they'll tell me stop shuffling. Or they'll say middle of the deck, and I'll pull from the middle of the deck. They'll say bottom of the deck. So they're telling me like what's in the cards, basically.
Interesting. And I saw you. I was looking at your website earlier today, and I saw you do this, and this interests me a lot. And I can't say the first word right ever, but it's basically past life readings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try the Akashic record.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did I pronounce that right?
The Akashic records. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, cool. I usually get that up a lot, but which I mean that interests me always because I've had people who are past life regressionists on here before, and that's like all they do. And the idea of past lives, like I was supposed to have a reading done a long time ago by one of my guests, and it just never happened. I keep saying I got to contact her, and it's been like a year, but I mean, it interests me. And the fact that you say you actually astral project to go to the Akashic records, which I didn't know that was actually a place you can, like, a dimension you can go to in a way.
Right. So what it is at least the way I was taught it, there's a library. I could see the library. I traveled to the library. All right. There's guards at the door of the library. Sometimes I have to ask, like, they want to know why I'm there. And there's all other like beings in there doing research in this library, right? So I have to explain to them why I'm there. Sometimes a couple of times they say you caused trouble here in your past life. Like I was like, I'm not here to cause any trouble, blah blah blah. Like I'm here to read this person and show them their book of records. So then I'll basically travel into a hallway, into a room, and they'll show me a book, and I'll kind of go through the book. Well, I'll go through the book, and the book will show me images. Sometimes the book will be in like hieroglyphics or something like that, but I'll ask for translation. And I get the translation, or I'll see images on each page of the book and just go through it. And like sometimes a lot of past life information comes up as well with that. And that's a really interesting reading.
It has to be. I mean, have you ever I ask this to everybody who does this, but have you ever done one where it's actually like someone famous in history that this person was at one point?
Not necessarily famous, but like really exciting things. Like they could have been a gangster. They could have been doing magic in Egypt. They could have been like, I had one person who was a pimp, but then the next life they were like an accountant. It was pretty cool.
Well, pimp or accountant, you're good with money, so.
Right. So then maybe the next life they're poor. It's like really interesting stuff that comes up in a past life reading.
I mean, I gotta get one done. I gotta, because I'm curious. Because I mean, the whole idea of relationship contracts too, like the fact that we're destined to meet people each life, and it's just like kind of preordained, pre-fated.
Yeah. Yeah, so everyone in your life, you sign your soul has signed a contract with their soul to play out a certain role on Earth, and to learn something to advance your soul. Um, Now you can change that contract at any time. Your higher self will really be doing it, but um, a lot like all of you everyone that is in your life is already agreed upon in some way. There is a contract.
Which makes sense because it's funny. My co-host of my music podcast I do as well. He's been on this show a bunch of times too, but people always say it seems like we were childhood friends, like that we've been friends that long, but we really have known each other like a year or a little bit over a year at this point.
Yeah.
So like I said to someone the other day, I'm like, it's like we were destined to meet before, like
Yeah.
we ever met. And
I mean, think about it. Like sometimes, like the people that your energy just seems like, why do I feel so like so how do I say this? Like so intrigued about this person, or so like match. Why do we match up so well? You know what I mean? With certain people, like you just hit it off. Like in other words, that could be relationship, that could be friendship, that could be like you just have this. It's either the same energy or something, and then other people you're just like and they're probably just the same way. They're just you know what I mean? And they're meeting up with other people. So that those are all contracts, you know. Those are all contracts. Even your enemies or whatever, if you do have enemies, you know, those are all those are contracts as well to learn things. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting.
yeah, it makes you wonder if like the Hatfield and McCoy is like whoever descended from them, like spiritually, like if they're still feuding to this day. But yeah, I mean, the only other thing about that, like, and then the fact that you actually, I never heard anybody say they can help you meet your spirit guides. Like, I've heard like they'll have you talk to their guides, but I never heard they'll have anybody actually say like, "Oh, I'll help you meet your spirit guides." Like that's pretty unique.
Yeah, you could do that too. It's like a lot of the readings I'm like communicating with my guides, but yes, there is a reading that I have where you can meet your own guides and communicate with them.
Which, see that, because I've had so many psychics and mediums and Reiki users, including the one I meet like usually every other week to try to better my life right now. It's basically it's a deal I have with her. Basically, I advertise for her on my show, and she is doing it for free. But like they always tell me, like you have something that's trying to reach you. You have something that's trying to connect with you, but it's blocked and it can't get through. And I mean, they tell me meditate, but I'm like, I'm not good at meditating. I don't have, my brain doesn't stop moving. Like I can't just sit there and meditate. Like it's just not something I've ever been able to do. Like I'm constantly doing something.
Yeah, that's okay. Like as far as meditation goes, like I just want to touch on that quickly. As long as you are like going through the process of meditation, doing the breathing, and even if thoughts come in, that's okay. It's still going to get you into a higher vibration. It's more like what's happening is people judge themselves. Because I teach meditation too. Like I have a client that was like, he just judges himself as far as thinks he's not doing it. No, you're actually doing it. You're just like trying too hard. So it's like less trying and just like letting go kind of type thing for meditation. But yeah, I mean, that guide is probably trying to get through to you, even if you can't see the guide, even if you can't get that far into a meditation per se, like quote unquote. That's okay. Even if you do a meditation just to kind of clear your mind a little bit, slow the thought down, concentrate on the present moment. Like it's all in the present moment. You'll get the download. You'll get the download from your guide or your higher. Maybe they'll give it to your higher self, and your higher self will just download the information to you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yoga though, like that's the thing I don't see is like how does yoga tie into it all? Because I mean, to most people, yoga is just something that like mothers do, like MILFs do and stuff. Like it's not like yes, there are plenty of guys that do it too. I know that. I'm not stupid, but it's just like as a bigger guy, I never would see myself like going like I'm going to a yoga class. Like it's just not something I ever say.
There's so many different types of yoga. The yoga I do is Kundalini yoga, which is a little bit different. It's more spiritual. It's more how do I say this? Like, is it more than going into poses? There's some poses, but it's just different. It's a different type of yoga, and it moves an energy. It moves Kundalini energy from your vagus nerve up through your chakras all the way up to the divine. So it's a little bit different. And when you come out of Kundalini yoga, you just feel absolutely fantastic. And there's meditations included in Kundalini yoga as well. Lots of meditations. The way I do it sometimes, I'll actually go deep into meditation, give the person some information, downloads that I get. That's the way I do it. But it's a little bit different than like power yoga, for example, or I don't know, some of the other types.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's not the typical type of yoga you would find in a yoga shop or a yoga.
Correct. It's not.
Dojo. Yeah.
It's not. It's not.
Which that's cool. That is cool because I mean there should be different types honestly because I ain't going in no room and doing downward dog with like 30 people around me. I'm good. I am so good on that. But all right, well, let me ask you this because I like to ask this to anybody that's on the spiritual realm, no matter what their profession may be. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk over the last year or so about a spiritual awakening that's been happening for a while now and has been growing on Earth. Mm-hmm. And the question I like to ask about, though, is I've heard multiple different dates for when it started, and I like to kind of like almost poll all my spiritual people about it. Mm-hmm. And the dates I commonly get are 2012, 2013, and 2015. Those are the 3 years I typically get. Mm-hmm. 2013 is a newer additive. I had one person actually say that, but
yeah, if you notice 2012, if you notice it, there was like a change, you know what I mean? There was a change in people's perception of things. 2012, 2013, around that time. I did notice a change with many people, but also like 2008. So I think it's gradual, and like when you look at the divine, when you look at spiritual, like spirit, when you go to the higher realms, there's no time. That's just something we constructed, but I think collectively, like because you're talking about collectively, I think those dates do make sense. I mean, just as far as myself, I started going down rabbit holes around that time, into different things around 2008, 2012, 2020, definitely, you know. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's good to go down those rabbit holes and try to figure out like what's going on and know that there's something else going on. But I would advise not to get too attached to that because, at some point it can become like not beneficial for you, you know? Like it's good to know that these things are going on, these different types of things that may be going on. But at the end of the day, you're in control of your own reality. It's you, it's your world, it's your reality. So, you know it, and then that's it. Like some people get like too much with it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely has been an awakening, and I mean, that's kind of what this podcast is almost about, because I mean, part of that is paranormal becoming the new normal.
Yeah.
The government admitting things, like there's an awakening around the whole globe of people realizing there's more out there than they ever thought there was, and we don't know about it yet. That's the problem. We don't know
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
to.
I mean, look at like just recently, like it's coming out like in the news, UFOs, and people are more like more believing in UFOs and things like that. Um, more open to spirituality the last couple of years for sure. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the business now, kind of with this podcast for it. But I mean,
Right.
there are people I grew up, girls I grew up with are now doing tarot card readings online, and I never saw that day coming. Like girls I went to church with, for God's sakes, and were like
Yeah.
hardcore, like church girls.
Right.
Like it's just it's intense, and the fact that they can kind of hold their faith but still do these type of things, like it just shows that the mind shift of the world is on a paradigm changing. Like
Absolutely, because they, they made that shift from religion, and they may have realized that, the way I look at it, each religion has something to bring to the table of the truth, right? So they may have came to that as well, to that truth, and there was a cross between because they were already religious, they were probably spiritual. You know what I mean? They were already spiritual, but they didn't know anymore. So they advanced. They moved forward to know more and learn more and do more.
which makes sense. But actually, it's funny you said that because I kind of was going to ask about this eventually, but I guess I could do it now. What as someone on the spiritual plane, what do you think of extraterrestrials? Like what do you believe?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% believe in extraterrestrials.
But do you think they're actually from space and actually extraterrestrials, or are they ultra-terrestrials coming from different dimensions?
Both. So I know a lot of them are from different dimensions, like we have Palladians, Reptilians, Larians, all that, all of them, all the galactic beings going up through the different dimensions. Yeah, some of them are from our dimension, some are interdimensional as well. So like it's all out, like in other words, it's all out there. Anything you can think of, it's out there.
It's interesting.
It's all happening.
And I actually have a previous guest as well, Vincent Field, who wrote a book about astral projecting and lucid dreaming. And so he kind of filled me on some of his details about like different trips he's taken kind of while projecting. So kind of curious. Any interesting stories from when you're astral projecting that like about creatures you met or different creatures, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few of them. I'm going to tell you one of them since we're talking about ETs. I had an astral projection experience where reptilians tried to put me on. They tried to capture me on their ship. They captured me on their ship. They tried to put me on a table, but I was able to break loose of the restraints of the table, and just basically what I did was I ran out like past them. I don't remember. I must have hit one of them or something, but like I ended up having powers through my eyes where I was able to break the ship open, and then I went back out into space and through my eyes, like almost like Superman, like blasted the ship with my with like laser beams coming from my eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty. That would make me probably not want to. I don't know. Would that make me want to astral project more or not astral project? I can't tell you, but.
I mean, I kept doing it. I mean, it's like there's a lower astral. There's astral projection. A lot can happen. I've met with Jesus astral projecting in a pod, like a space pod, and basically he wanted me to go down into down to Earth and try to like heal Earth. You know what I mean? Heal the United States a couple of different times. Heal the United States. Heal Russia. Heal do this, do that. On a couple of different trips, and he had me go to this. I'm not even going to mention the politician because I don't like to get political, but he wanted me to go like try to heal this politician. When I went to go heal this politician, right? The politician was filled with AI. The politician was all filled with like computer inside. I couldn't heal him.
All right, now I really wish you wouldn't even. But I have suspicions, but
yeah.
I
Exactly.
try to keep politics off this show as well, so I'm fine with that. I mean,
You know why I do? I used to get really political, Jeremy, but like it causes such a division, and I want everyone to like be able to use my services and feel comfortable working with me because I'm like I want to help everybody. You know what I mean? Not everybody,
exactly.
but I don't want to. I don't want there to be a division. I want people to figure this stuff out on their own, and that's why I don't get political anymore. But that was an interesting experience.
It sounds like something out of a movie almost. Like that's how interesting
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But hello, Charlie. I'm sorry for mispronouncing that, but glad you're watching. But when you astral project, how many other dimensions would you say there are? Because I've heard different numbers.
I mean, there's multiple. I don't have the exact number, but
I'm trying to think of what I was told before. For some reason, I want to say 18 or 36, but I'm not positive.
something like that. Yeah. I mean, it starts like right from God, and there's different dimensions that go down, like right from source. You know what I mean? And then it just comes down. Not that there's any up or down either, but
Yeah, which I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Shaylee. Yes. Sorry about that. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't believe that there's actually like a heaven or hell, at least as religion describes it.
right, correct.
They're
true.
just different.
I agree.
If they exist, they're just different dimensions, and your experience there may be a dimension where your experience is kind of modified to you, like VR kind of or AR, like.
Yeah. So if you feel like unempowered, even as a spirit, just like a human, you're going to be in a lower dimension, maybe the lower astral or something, where you think you need to feed off humans or you think you need to feed off other people, and you're just like in misery because of that. You know what I mean? So that maybe that's hell, but it's your own making. You know what I mean? Like you can get out of that, yeah, as a spirit as well. You know. And travel to higher dimensions. Like we're in the third dimension, and we have the fourth dimension, which the way I understand the fourth dimension is like more like the lower astral. Then we have the fifth dimension, and and it goes up and up and up. But
which Shaylee says she was in heaven for 3 days when she was 19, which I would love to hear that story, Shaylee. Just saying, feel free to contact me. But I don't know. I mean, it's just.
well, I guess it all depends on how you define heaven. Like heaven could be the highest of all dimensions, where it's like pure peace, love, joy, and just everything is, really good spirits. Like at the Christ consciousness is there. You know what I mean? So maybe that's where maybe she went.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I mean and then again it could all. I mean, just to throw out the wild card here, what if we're living in a matrix? And what if we're seeing what we believe and what we want to see because that's the way the matrix is designed, that when we pass, our consciousness goes to where we want to be until they're ready to put us into a new program or a new body, wherever you want to put it.
Well, the way I would look at that would be, I mean, I think we are in a matrix that maybe on Earth in 3D maybe is more controlled by not so friendly, not some beings that don't have our best interests, but maybe you're correct. Maybe that's God's matrix. Maybe that's just God's matrix.
The atheist in my teenage and 20s would have totally been down with that and rocking out to some Cradle of Filth while shouting that. But the older me questions it, and of course, yeah, I don't know. But it's a wormhole in a wormhole. That's all it really is. But Shaylee says the love there cannot be present here. I don't believe it was pure, unfucked with. I'm sure that was meant to be. There were no negative feelings there.
Right, and I can give an example of that as well. The first time I astral traveled, I went to different spirit worlds. I met with 3 guides, and they gave me a tour of the universe. And I went to a land of flowers. I flew around space, and they showed me how to fly in space, and then we went on these golden hoverboards through space. And I'll tell you, I felt nothing but pure love, like pure love that I never felt it before. Like I never felt it on Earth. It was absolutely amazing. And even when I got back from that particular time, that was the first time I did it. It took me time to adjust here on Earth, just because you could do anything there. But it was like pure love. It was like such a feeling of joy that you can't even put words to.
Sounds incredible. And Shaylee says, long story short, she ended her life and was in a coma on a ventilator for 3 days, and she was giving a choice to come back or not, which I've heard of that before. I've had an NDE experience on this podcast who said he was given the choice and he debated with a shadowy figure in a light doorway for many days.
Gotcha. No, it makes a lot of sense. And, I 100% believe that's true.
Yeah, I've had enough NDE experiences on the show where I can, but that's the amount of different experiences I've had and the different stories they've had. It kind of makes me think it's somehow a tailored afterlife like that. It's not generic. Everybody gets the same thing. You're going here, you're going there. It's tailored to what, a mix of what you believe in, and a mix of what you think you deserve.
I would agree with that.
Which is why I've been saying I'm not going to hell since I was a teenager. Because it's what you believe.
Right. If you think, I deserve to go to hell because I did this, and this, you're probably not going to have the best experience after you pass. But
yeah, I mean, if you think you're going to go to a fiery lake and
it's like you're telling the universe that's where I want. You're telling source that's where I want to go. But of course, you can get out of that too when you're there, because I've traveled to not like anything like that, but like lower astrals places by accident, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. You know what I mean? It's like it's not that hard to get out of, but I guess it's your mindset, right, or your belief system as a soul.
Exactly. I mean, it's what you believe. I think. I mean, whether it's controlled by extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, some type of god, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the debate at the end of the day, is who controls it all. Something definitely exists, but it's who controls it and who makes it work. Or is it just, was it always there and it'll always be there? Like, I certainly don't know, and I don't think anybody really does. And it's just one of those things.
I mean, what my intuition is telling me is like there's source, which is God, and then it all goes down from there, and every God is like everything, and there's all types of creations, and it's all like what you want to experience even as a soul. And if you want to go to the highest of all dimensions and be with angels and things like that, I believe that's possible.
Yep. And well, let's get to this real fast. Shaylee said she agrees with us that people create their own hell because they can't do the healing work necessary to believe they deserve anything different, which that sums it up 100% to me. I mean, the real question of all this, of course, always is, do dogs go to heaven?
Absolutely.
They better. My two mastiffs, when they pass, better be there when I get there.
Absolutely.
So, that's all I'm saying. I want to go to them somewhere where they don't need surgery to eat something.
Right.
But
it's just like Earth. Like, think about Earth, right? You can create your own heaven and hell right on Earth if you want.
I mean, it's true. It's
in a way.
I mean,
it's a little different, but
it's a little different because, I mean, to really do that, you need the money, because everything on Earth is controlled by paper, and that's part of the
Right.
problem.
Right.
You can't just get anything you want. Trust me, I would have a real podcast studio if that was the case. But I
That's
mean, it's
true. I
just
should say you can create a really positive experience on Earth, or you can create a really negative experience. So
yeah, you make your life what you want to make it. That's the bottom freaking line.
absolutely.
Oh, and Shaylee says that she believes she was speaking to God when given her choice, and it's hard to explain because she doesn't remember faces and she didn't feel it, but it's as if this being had all the pain there in his eyes, shielding us from it. Which, I mean, I don't know. I tend to believe in old gods, like the Egyptian, Greek, Roman, all those, Aztec, take your pick. But I mean, I believe in those, whether they were extraterrestrial or something else, I don't know. But they definitely existed, I think, and they still exist.
Oh yeah.
But they could be walking this plane in mortal form and just living living a new life.
Absolutely.
Or they could be in some other plane that we don't have access to.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, a lot of people that pray to God, I pray to freaking Odin. I'll pray to Zeus. Like whatever strikes me, whatever God's name's in my head at that moment, I'll pray to.
Right.
And I'll, like, if I want to make a sale at work, I'll pray to Odin and let this happen. Like, and 8 out of 10 times it does. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. So God, or source, or whatever you want to call it, speaks through like angels, and speaks through like gods and goddesses like Odin, Bridget, things, and or some of the old, like Zeus, and some of the old gods and goddesses. So that's the way I like look at it. And like that's like just pure joy coming through them, or pure like information. That's the way, that's kind of the way I look at it. So not to take away from her truth or anything, I just don't believe that God, like when you look at God, like to me it's source energy that can never be created or destroyed. It's pure, pure love, and then that energy can make any form that they want, or it comes down from source that to different souls, and it all comes down. So God is like everything is God.
And Shaylee has a question, actually. She says Bridget, which I kind of was going to ask you about that anyway, because I never heard that god name.
Bridget's a Irish goddess, who is also a saint. They made her Saint Bridget after, but she's an old Celtic goddess.
Oh, okay. That kind of sounds familiar now. I'm like, I know Irish deities are one of my lesser known topics. Cuchulainn, like that's the only like real Irish god I ever heard of was Cuchulainn.
Right. So some of the more like you have like the Egyptian gods and goddesses, Greek gods and goddesses, Irish gods, Celtic gods and goddesses. Like for Egyptian Isis, some people like to work with Isis. Horus,
I had a speaker of Ephetet. Why am I forgetting the name? Tefnut. I had a speaker of Tefnut on the show before who believed he was basically embodied spirit for Tefnut.
Oh wow!
Which I don't know how far I'll take that, but I mean it's just he believed it, so I talked to him about it, and interesting man. But I mean it's just there's gotta be, the thing I always say to everybody is there's gotta be more out there than we realize, and I used to be atheist 100%, believing there's nothing out there in my angsty teenage, early 20s, but I'm definitely have been agnostic for a while now because there's something out there. I just don't know what. And until I see proof, I can't believe anything. Because I need the proof. I need to see something. I need to hear something. Something has to happen.
Yeah, so I find that like a lot of atheists, like, So the definition of atheist is like they don't believe you just die and there's nothing else happens, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
exactly.
So I find a lot of atheists I talk to even during like readings and stuff. I was like, well, do you believe in source? Do you believe in gods and goddesses? And like they're like, yeah, I believe in energy. And I was like, all right. So I never come out and say, well, you're not an atheist then, but I just like leave it as at that, you know.
Yeah.
But I just think I think there's so much out there that it's all like to me like it's all true. So all these realities are true. If you can imagine it, it's true. In some reality somewhere in the multiverse.
I was just gonna say. So I'm guessing you believe in that there's a multiverse out there, or where
Yes.
there's multiple versions of us living different lives just by millimeters or centimeters off.
Yes. Yep. I do.
Okay, well, the multiverse media that's out there that's rich. Can we trade lives, please?
All right.
But oh well, this has been an amazing conversation and definitely a fun episode. Where can people find you? Where can they find your services? Just promote yourself to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me. My website is www.intuitivevisions.org. I'm also easy to find on Instagram, and my handle is at intuitivevisions401. I'm on Facebook, William Patrick, and sometimes I think you might have to look under either Providence, Rhode Island, or North Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find me. I'm on TikTok at Intuitive Visions, and I have a multitude of different types of readings. Tarot, mediumship, past life, Akashic records, spirit guide readings. I do healings as well. Check out my website, look me up, and I'd be happy to do a reading for you and any of my services.
And you're completely welcome, Shaylee. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And of course, everybody who listens to this podcast knows you can find me on Facebook as Paranormally Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcast with S Facebook group. Need to choose a name soon. You can find me on Twitter and the Gram as @JuggaloBastard, on TikTok as @JuggaloBastard Podcast, and on YouTube as Paranormally Normal, or on YouTube as Blind Knowledge Network, where this is streaming right now. Blind Knowledge Network, and this is also streaming on Parapost Network on Facebook. Both networks are always looking for new vodcasts or podcasts to come join. If you have one and you're looking for a network, come check out either. Both are looking for every kind of podcast available. So until next time, though, listeners, I should be back next week with a couple interviews, I believe, or maybe another one-on-one bracket next week. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. But I want to thank Will for coming on. It's been a fun show, and can't wait for my listeners to hear this. And we will catch you all next time. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.